To the Well broadcast. Today I have a very, I call him distinguished guest. I had the privilege of meeting him. A lot of you know that right now I've been battling with cancer, which I plan on beating. And what I've been doing is I've been trying to find every kind of help, every kind of book, everything possible that I can so that I can have success at everyday living. I want you to know this, that when a lot of people are diagnosed with cancer, the first thing that they do is they begin to just think dread. They begin to think that they're going to die. I know that when I first was diagnosed with cancer, I was very upset. I just pulled off to myself and I went into prayer. And let me tell you, God is real. He's always showing himself faithful. And let me tell you something, when you are a fighter and when you really truly believe in that word of God, you're going to go in there and you're going to get out what you need. And let me tell you something, God begins to send people into your life that has information. And so today I have with me Bernard Thomas, who I want to call him, he's my little personal guru, I'll say. He has a lot of good information on nutrition, vitamins, organic food. Like I say, he has just been a blessing to me the time that I've known him. And let me tell you something. When God sends people into your life, how many of you know he sends the best? He doesn't send no mess. He sends the best. If you really, truly are seeking answers to, the problems that you're having in your life, he'll send you the best. And you know what else I like about Bernard Thomas? He doesn't bite his tongue. He's not going to let you he's not a pushover. And that's another reason that I know that he's from God, because if I say something that's wrong, he will correct me. And I like that. And I tell a lot of people, I say, in your life, we hear the old story that say, if you're the sharpest knife in the drawer, then that means your drawer isn't good. You shouldn't be the only person in your circle that has intelligence. And so I admire him. He is a graduate of Northern High School. He has military training, which is I would say, wow, which is a great plus. He came out of the military. He also has had successful businesses in the Flint community. He's done real estate. Right now, he's into nutrition, and he's teaching people how to take care of themselves, which is a wonderful thing. And he's probably saying he's going to kill me later about just boosting him up. But he's done a lot of great things. And so, how are you today, Bernard?
I am phenomenal. It's a great day. The sun is out. I had spent some time with the Lord at the start of my day, and it was just, okay, Lord, you give me the words. I'm the vessel. I'll speak whatever you say. So thank you very much for the invite. Thank you for the accolades. I only hope that I can live up to the words that you've said. So.
Well, I mean, you be fussing with me, so.
Well, it's not, it's just, No,
it's good.
It's a good thing.
Yeah,
it's a good iron sharp as iron. So,
there you go.
But iron cuts paper.
That's exactly right. That's right. And so, as I was, telling our listening audience how, you've been very intricate as far as, sharing with me the importance of vitamins, the importance of natural, opposed to using things that have, harsh chemicals and things in it. And we know too that in the Flint community, about the lead poisoning and things like that, which has, taken place, and a lot of people are suffering, not just myself. And I want to be a success story, and I hope you be a part of that. That by you telling me the different things that you told me, and as I was saying, I was so impressed, just greatly impressed. And people need to have an understanding of natural products and the difference in the poisons and things. So I'll let you just take over about the poisons that we're not really paying attention to.
I think the best example actually is the Flint water crisis, right? Because you're talking about lead in the water, and you're drinking that water, and what you're seeing is the impact of that lead in your body, right? So when you think about that and how horrendous it was, if you just expand your mind just a little bit, because it's not just the water. What about the things that you're using that are chemically based that you're putting on your body? What about the things that you are eating that has chemicals all around them, right? Those things are going into that very same body. The only difference is that it's just a question of when you see the impact, right? So if you do a thing over a period of time, it's going to have an effect. An example would be, everyone's heard, smoking causes cancer. My question is, does it cause cancer the first cigarette, or does it cause cancer over a period of time? So when you're looking at the chemicals that you're using, the food that you're eating, the water that you're drinking, don't expect for an immediate impact. But if you open up your mind and you start to think about your body, the Bible says, for example, God created man from the dust of the earth and breathed life into him. Well, ask yourself the question, what is in dirt? The answer is nutrients. That's what you find in dirt. So that's what you find in your body. An interesting conversation, Dr. Sebi, right? Dr. Sebi went to natural cures to cure people of cancer and other stuff. Do I know the truth of the whole story? No, but it does bring the idea, because he went after the nutrients to cure the body, because your body was designed to heal itself. But if it doesn't have the nutrients in there to do it, it's not going to work, and that's where you find illnesses. That's where you find inflammation and stuff of that nature. So we have to become more aware of what products are we using, what chemicals are in there, and how are they impacting us. And I think for the most part, we do things by habit. Our grandmother used bleach. Our mother used bleach. So we use bleach. It reminds me of a story Zig Ziglar told. This guy had went to his wife, and she cut off half the ham, right? They had this great big old pan, but she cut off half the ham. So the husband asked her, hey, honey, why are you cutting off, the end of the ham? She said, well, I cut off the end of the ham because my mother cut off the end of the ham.
Exactly.
So her mother was alive. So they called her mother and say, hey, why do you cut off the end of the ham? She said, well, I cut off the end of the ham because my mother cut off the end of the ham. The beautiful part of the story was her grandmother was still alive. So they called her grandmother and asked her, why do you cut off the end of the ham? And her grandmother said, well, I cut off the end of the ham because my pot wasn't big enough, right? So we do things generationally, right, not understanding the causes. Back in World War II, when all of these chemicals were being created for bombs, after World War II ended, they asked the question, what can we do with these chemicals? Somebody said, well, we can start cleaning homes with them. Somebody said we can start, gargling with them. Somebody said we can start using them to wash our bodies, right? The latest lawsuits, the big one that everybody heard about, is the baby powder, right?
That's
and
right.
They knew that there was dangerous chemicals in there. They knew, but we trusted them without question. And we put it all over our babies without question. And now people are dying from that type of cancer in those areas, and they had to settle that lawsuit. How many other cancers are they settling lawsuits for products that they know that are hazardous, right? And the Bible says, God says, I would not have you to be ignorant. I would not have you to be ignorant. Oh, but you can choose to be. If you keep your mind closed and you're not opening up your mind to get information, because there's a difference from the time that our grandparents were here, there's a difference from the time that our parents were here. Information is available. It's readily available on any subject. So guess what? It's the information age. I would not have you be ignorant. If there is information out there, open up your mind and receive the information. So that's the chemical impact and the history of that thing. And I guess somewhere in this discussion, we're going to go into talking about it more directly, right? But I wanted to kind of lay a foundation.
No, that's good, because, even with that, we also see that, we have the big vitamin industry. We have all the industries of the health, and they're telling people, take this, take this, take this. But what people don't do is that what they don't understand is that if you're not putting proper nutrition in your body,
Mhm.
I don't care how many vitamins you take,
Mhm.
I don't care how much you spend on those vitamins, they're not going to work.
Right.
And a lot of people they're spending tons and tons of money on diets,
Mhm.
and they say, okay, this isn't working. And the reason it isn't working is because you're not practicing proper
Mhm.
eating habits.
Mhm.
And I was so glad when I found that out, because I was spending money on, I wanted the best vitamins.
Mhm.
I wanted the best nutrients
Mhm.
and the best meats. I thought, the best
Right,
meats,
right,
the
right.
best fish,
Right.
until I found out that all those things were so wrong.
Right.
And so now, I'm not telling everybody that they have to do this, but
Mhm.
I choose to be vegan, because when I found out what was in the meats,
Mhm.
and then when I did stop, and I started because even with the vegetables,
Mhm.
I was eating the and the vegetables were wrong,
Mhm.
because I thought they were fresh, but
Right.
they were maybe fresh but with chemicals on.
Mhm.
So I had to watch all those things also,
Mhm.
and so it's really hard at first.
Right.
But once I got the hang of it, and the more that you keep fussing at me and saying no, Cynthia,
Right. 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 I mean,
which is okay.
when you look at that and you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
we were raised with this pyramid of what you should eat.
Exactly.
When we were coming up, it wasn't so much chemical use in that product. It was primarily coming from farmers, right? Straight from the farm. Matter of fact, I grew up in Arkansas, and my granddad was a farmer, right? So I got to see the fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. I got to see that. But today, all of that's changed, because most of the land has been brought up by manufacturers. So instead of the land is like your body. If you get a cut, your body goes to heal itself, right? And it creates a scab so that it can heal itself. If you continue to pull that scab off, it will never heal.
Right.
So when you're thinking of the mass producers of your produce, they're not turning that soil. My granddad would, plant in one area, and the next season he would plant in another area, because that soil needs time to heal, to recover, so it can get those nutrients back in there. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at food, you have to ask the question, is this reprocessed because it's coming out of this land which is dead? Why do you know the land is dead, Bernard? There are little microcosms in the ground, in the dirt.
Microcosms. Go ahead.
Yeah, microcosms in
Mhm.
the dirt that eat that stuff, and what they excrete is the nutrients. So when you plant that seed, that's what fertilizes that seed, right? But when you put pesticides on it, now you're killing the microcosms, right? So you'll find that now your vegetables doesn't contain all the vitamins and nutrients that they used to contain. Well, I mean, does that mean you have to kind of look that stuff up? Yeah, but you want to be conscious. Why? This is the only body you get. You don't get a redo, right?
That's right.
And when you think in terms of meats, they're injecting animals now to get them fatter, to get them to the marketplace, to get them to your table. Take a minute, come back, and just think about it. I mean, I'm not saying that, hey, Bernard got all the facts, but I am saying, use the mind that God gave you. Look at your kids, right? Little girls are maturing,
yes,
at a phenomenal rate. And it's not because times have changed, because girls weren't, developing that quickly.
Yeah, we were flat chested in my day.
I mean, I'm not even going to go there.
We wore beginner bras.
For a long time, right?
Right.
For a long time.
But they're not now.
Yeah, so you got to think what's causing that.
That's right.
It's going to be the food that you're eating, because once they inject that animal, once that animal goes to the slaughter, once that food comes to your table, what they injected it with never leaves. So when you go to cook it, it's still there. So when your babies go to eat it, guess what? Now it's taking an effect on them too. Well, is that healthy? I don't know. And to your point, they've got other foods out there, organic foods, right, that don't have all of that going on. The challenge with that, though, is that they're pricier. You know, you have to pay a lot more money just to get it. And with what's going on in America today, that's going to be a challenge for a lot of people, right? But back up from that. You may not be able to do it 100% right, but you can do it 20% right. You may not be able to do it 100% right, but you can do it 30% right, right? And as your income goes up, you can do it more and more and more, right? And that's really how you want to think about this temple that you got, right?
Exactly.
I need to protect this temple as much as I can, as best as I can. And that's really, you know, kind of how you want to focus on that thing.
Well, just kind of to even go back, as a child, I was truly blessed because, as I was saying, is finding out how to do things today more organic,
right,
more original,
right,
is what we're saying. I went back to shelling the peas. I went back to going to the market, and actually people say that it's more expensive maybe if you're buying it in the store, but you can go to the market and see. I'm an old school girl, so we were taught how to can and how to freeze. So a lot of things that I do now, I found different farmers here,
right,
and they plant their things and they pick them, and they don't put a lot of things in the ground. And so I go to them quite often, and I get my tomatoes and I ground them up. I get my fresh onions, and I get my bell pepper, because anything that's fresh, the way that you can tell that it doesn't have pesticides on it is that it'll start getting moldy really fast. So that's how you know that you have good vegetables, according to buying vegetables out of the store. Because I'm gonna tell you something, what I noticed, and I was sharing that with you. I bought some greens, and those greens stayed in my refrigerator for a whole week, and they didn't even turn. And I was like, wow, you know.
So imagine them in your gut.
Yeah.
Imagine them
greens.
in your gut. And let's talk about that just for a moment.
Yeah.
Just for a moment. 85% of the illnesses that occur in the body originate in the gut. Right here, right? So you got to think in terms of gut health. So if the foods that you're putting in there are not leaving the body as it ought to, then what's happening is that it's creating gases, and guess what? Your bloodstream works through here too.
That's right.
So as those gases are being released, they're going back into your bloodstream.
Exactly.
You see? And that's where, when you're thinking in terms of illnesses, and keep in mind, I'm not a doctor, you know, I'm just a guy that I try to research things, I try to understand things. And right now, my focus is on understanding how the body works in the simplest terms. If my gut health goes bad because I've got food sitting there, it's the idea of, if you took a steak and you set it on your counter and you prepared to cook it and you let it sit there for 2 weeks, would you still cook that steak? And if you did, would you eat it? Right?
Right.
Well, here's the thing. That's what you're putting in your stomach. And it's sitting there because it's not being released from your body,
exactly.
right? It's supposed to stay on a constant release. So gut health is a great big old issue. Gut health is a huge issue. And again, that's 85% of the illnesses created in the body. So
now I can say this because being the person that, you know, going through what I'm going through right now, and then when that was explained to me, and that was the first thing that I noticed, because I had to take fiber, you know, and as soon as I began to pay attention and eat correctly, that was the first thing that happened. Because when I would go to the doctors, because they're always taking your blood,
right.
They're always testing everything on you because they want to make sure that your blood counts and things is where they're supposed to be.
Right.
So when I started eating correctly, when I started paying attention, and I didn't have to use the fiber anymore, everything just began to flow. My blood counts went to I mean, they're like perfect. It's just amazing when I go in there. He's like, these are where they're supposed to be. And so he's like, my doctor's like, well, what are you doing? You know, and I told him, I said, well, you know, I'm vegan, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And he was like, well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because when you're coming in, everything, because they check you so closely. And so I'm like, wow, this is so true. And that's why I said I want to be able to take my life story and share it with others, because I'm living proof. And so I know personally that since I've been eating correctly, and when I do my chemo,
Right.
And most people, because I'm in there with other people and they're really down and they're really sick, and I have my days,
Of course.
but I'm not worse than a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
because as long as I eat correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and I watch what I drink. I drink the proper alkaline
Mm-hmm.
waters and things, and I make sure that my juices and things are real, because they say that some juices are real and they're really not.
Right, right, right.
So I make sure my juices are real. I make sure that my vegetables are real, and like when I'm saying real, without pesticides.
Right, right.
And I don't have to take laxatives.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to take anything to make my body do anything now.
Mm-hmm.
My body functions now correctly,
Mm-hmm.
even with the chemo.
Right.
And when I have a injection, that they give me to
Mm-hmm.
force my bone marrow to work,
Mm-hmm.
that shot actually works. And my doctor's like, oh, wow. He said, everything is working,
Mm-hmm.
Beautifully.
Right, right.
But I know, and I associate that with my obedience and my discipline
Mm-hmm.
to the food.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like living proof here. So
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're saying is true.
I mean, here's a. First, let me say, the vegan lifestyle is a healthier lifestyle, and it keeps you regular.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Because most times in our community, after we have a meal, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Taking a nap.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's telling you that food is not really being digested in your system, and it's heavy on you. And again, we're still at gut health here. So vegan is actually just, the food is just going through, and you're good. They have products on the market that help with digestion, but they also have, and I'm gonna plug this if you don't mind.
That's okay.
They've got an online store that offers these products that are better than what you find on the marketplace, because you need to have fiber in your system, right? You've got two types of fibers. You've got soluble, which is water, it goes right out, and then you have insoluble, which doesn't go right out. And you need that fiber in your system, because what it does is it attracts the metals that are in your bloodstream. So I guess let me put this out here. Anything that touches your skin, 80 to 90% of it is in your bloodstream in 26 seconds. Your pores are open, so don't think that the skin you have, and that's the largest, organ on your body, is your skin. So whatever you're washing your hair with, whatever makeup you're putting on your face, whatever deodorant that you're using, whatever body wash or soap that you're cleaning your body with, is actually going into your bloodstream. So you have to question the products that you're using. So in this topic, we're talking about, what are healthier products that you can use so that you reduce the possibility of that damage or harm in your body. And that's really what I'm focused on. How do I share that information with you to help you to break a habit? Because you should never be locked in a habit. You should never be locked in a habit.
That's true.
Because when you're locked in a habit, that's like being a great big old strong tree that's not flexible when a storm comes. Now that little skinny tree that's flexible, when the storm is over, it's still there. That big tree is broke, right? So when you use that analogy, if you are stuck in a place, you are likened under that tree, and the storms of life will break you. So instead of having a healthy life by being flexible, you're going to have a sickly life because you're unable to receive. And it was interesting because
now that's very interesting.
Yeah, Jesus had some things to say about that. And what Jesus said is, let the dead bury the dead. That sounds really hard coming from the creator of all of this. But let's see what he was talking about. Let's look into that a little bit, right? What made him make the statement? Their minds were closed.
Their minds were closed.
Their minds were closed. No information can go in. Well, Bernard, how do you know that? Because over in the book of Mark, in the 4th chapter, the apostles asked Jesus, well, Lord, why do you speak to people in parables? And Jesus said, I speak to them in parables because they can't receive the truth. So I have to take a little nugget of truth and wrap it around this here chocolate ball for them just to get a little truth. I would not have you to be ignorant we have to find a way to actually open up our minds and look at things that are happening. You can't trust, and I really mean it seriously, you cannot trust your national manufacturers who are pushing these products into your supermarkets. You can't trust them. Why? Because they have a record to show you that these products will harm you.
Let me throw this in before our radio audience goes off. In other words, we're not telling you that you have to get rid of your greens and cornbread. We're saying know where your greens are coming from.
Yes.
You want to make sure that your greens are fresh without pesticides.
Yes.
We're not saying stop eating your tomatoes, stop eating your squash. We're not saying that. We're saying make sure that they are fresh where they come from, that they haven't been manufactured.
And even if you buy them from Kroger and they're not the type that we're talking about, let's talk about how are you cleaning them, right? Because you can't use water to rinse it off.
Right.
Right? Because when they put it on, it rains. So water won't wash it off. So you have to find a product that can actually clean your produce. You have to find a product that can actually clean your fruit. And what are you cleaning off of it? Well, you're cleaning the pesticides off of it, right?
Right.
So you have to find a product that will do that. And that's
now,
it.
me personally, I use vinegar, I use sea salt and water. But I don't use, the city water. I use the regular water.
Right.
And I have found that to be great success. When I'm when I buy my strawberries or my grapes, I put according, like if I do a gallon, I'll do a gallon water. I'll use a cup of vinegar, white vinegar, and I'll use sea salt. At least I'll say about a half a cup, and I swish it in there and let it sit in there for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then I swish through them, and then I let them sit again after I rinse them off in clear, spring water or distilled water. But I don't use soaps because actually I'm adding to the problem.
Right, right.
And when I clean my greens, I do them also the same way. My greens, all of my vegetables, I clean them with natural products. So that's something that's very important also, because most of us, we come up, like I say, we eat greens. That's the Sunday meal. Greens, our sweet potatoes, our macaroni and cheese, our cornbread.
Absolutely.
And you're going to have a beef roast or a chicken.
Something.
It's got to be that way. But what I do now with my greens, I use a bouillon, or I use the broth. So I don't have to use pork. I don't have to use fat backs to get that taste. Actually, you can get the even better taste out of bouillon cubes, or like I say, and everything is organic. But we'll talk about all those things at a different time. But I want you to be able to get in touch with Bernard, because he can further help you and assist you with being able to find out. Let's give your number and things right now, or your Facebook page.
810-449-7540, or if you go to Facebook, you'll find me there. There are several Bernard Thomases. Look for the guy with a suit. That's going to be me. So, just send me a friend request,
And then also, he's going to be on our YouTube. That will be cable TV, channel 17, where you can look at all of our videos too, where the information and things will be on there and be given out. And that'll help you also, so that you will be able to continuously to get in touch with him. But we're going to continue our conversation on, because, like I say, we want to be able to educate.
So I wanted to come back to the last thing you were talking about, right? About how you clean your vegetables and stuff like that. A lot of people won't take the time to do that. So at this point, I kind of want to throw in, there is an online shopping store out there that has products that can enable you to, do that same thing.
Veggie wash, right? That's another one I've heard.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, veggie wash is really good, because I know people that use. I just hadn't been able to find it yet, but I've been looking for it. And as you were telling me, I become very critical now. I have my glasses with me when I'm in the grocery store, and I'm reading everything. I was getting ready to buy some vanilla flavoring, and my uncle was like, "Here, get this imitation," and then we read on there. and it was like glycerol,
Mm-hmm.
and that stuff that you make antifreeze with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And we was in the store like, oh my God.
If
And we put it
you're
back.
surprised by that, look at your shampoo,
Yeah.
which is going to have the same thing in there, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you're putting on your body, right? So, in this informational journey that I'm into, I'm always referring people to this online store. Interesting, this manufacturer's been in business for 35 years. This manufacturer's been doing green products before green became popular, right? And most people don't know about it. Well, having that type of access, it can change your life. It can change your knowledge base. It can change what's happening with your children. And here's an example. A friend of mine, when his son had a massive asthma attack, right? And he took him to the emergency clinic, and they ran all these here tests and everything like that. And after they ran all those tests, they called him into the office and said, well, listen, sir, whatever you're cleaning your son's room with, his body is responding to it.
Oh, wow.
So start cleaning his room with only like vinegar and water, something like that, right? So we're thinking in terms of, or we're not thinking in terms of, what's the impact of the daily cleaners that you're using in your house? Because here's what you're not aware of. Like, ammonia smells, and you know that it's been cleaned with ammonia because of the smell.
Right.
But what you don't know is that that smell is going into your nostrils, which means now it's going into your lungs, which means now it's going into your bloodstream.
Exactly.
Here's what you're not asking. What are the chemicals in ammonia? What are the chemicals in bleach, right? There are 3 ways that chemicals can get into your body. Number 1 is what you eat. That's an obvious way, right? Mm-hmm. So that's ingestion. Number 2 is what you touch. Largest organ on the body is the skin. What you touch and what touches you. Number 3 is what you breathe, right? Wow. So if you're in your home and you're thinking to yourself, and this is what the national manufacturer says, they say, well, you know, it's got to do with exposures, because they've been pressing them hard on the rise in cancer. Well, it's got to do with exposures. Wait a minute. You've got chemicals in your dishwater. You got chemicals in what you're cleaning your home with. You got chemicals in what you're washing your clothes with, you know, and we got things that we say, well, you know, if it smells like that, we know it's clean. I'm of a mind that says, you know, I have never seen a germ.
That's right.
And I have never seen chemical air that I'm breathing. I've never seen it, right? But I can see the impact, right? And again, I'm not a doctor, but it's interesting to me because women are showing up with breast cancer, and I have to ask the question, what's the closest thing to your breast that you put on every day? The answer is going to be, it's going to be my deodorant.
That's
okay,
right.
Here's a question. What's in your deodorant? Answer, aluminum.
Aluminum.
Well, you took a shower, you took a bath, you got up, you dried yourself off. The first thing you're going to put on is your deodorant. Your pores are wide open. You're putting deodorant on that has aluminum. Remember, 26 seconds, it's in your bloodstream. You're introducing aluminum into your system. You're introducing aluminum into your system. That aluminum is going to go somewhere, because cancer is really, it's when those chemicals mass up in a certain area in your body. It could be anywhere, but it masses up in a certain area in your body. And your body gets used to it because you've been using it so long that it starts to create normal tissue around it. So your natural body's defense doesn't know that it's a problem. It doesn't know that it's a problem.
Because it's just natural.
Because all your natural mass has now encircled around it, right? And your body doesn't know to attack it. Your body's designed to heal itself. Exactly. Which means if something goes in there that's not right, your body's going to react to it.
That's right.
So in the example of my friend and his son's body responded to the chemicals in the air based on what they were cleaning his room with, right? And you find a lot of kids that are asthmatic, and there are a lot of links to the things you clean your home with. But we say, well, you know, my mama used it, ain't nothing happened. Well, it was interesting because, you know, at the time that our mothers were doing it and our grandmothers were doing it, we weren't necessarily making that association because guess what? They were dying of cancer. They were dying of, you know, high blood pressure. They were, you see what I'm saying? All these things. They were still dying of those things, but we weren't aware of the connectivity there.
Exactly.
And that's why I say, you know, today it's the information age. We can look it up. And as God says, I would not have you to be ignorant. Guess what? Open up your mind. Go and research the information. Again, reach out to me. I'm more than willing to share, love sharing, because I think that the more knowledge we have, the better decisions we make. No one wants to die.
Exactly.
End of the day, no one wants to die.
Right.
If you don't want to die, you have to think about, how am I living?
Right.
You have to ask yourself, what can I do to extend my life without harming my life?
Exactly.
You know, and we're always making decisions, so there's no way to get around a decision. We're going to make them anyway.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And I love when you were saying, which is so true, when we get up in the morning, we take our showers, we put our lotions on,
Mm-hmm.
we're not paying attention to what's in them. We're very relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
We're very relaxed with the soaps that we use.
Mm-hmm.
We just use them. We don't look and see what's in them. We're very relaxed. We're very comfortable with the things that we use from day to day.
Mm-hmm.
Take the time, everyone, and start looking at it, looking at the ingredients and looking up those ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
And you will find that a lot of the ingredients are like things that they make antifreeze.
Mm-hmm.
We saw where some gentlemen the other day, they were looking at cereal and they saw that the
think about how many products.
This stuff that makes antifreeze is in the cereal.
It's in the cereal, right?
And it's like, wow,
And
we're really not paying attention.
It's under the guise of what is that called? Preservative. It's under the guise of preservative, right? Think about how many products have formaldehyde in them. Right? So if you don't know what formaldehyde is, let me be the first to tell you. When you die, they're going to put it in your body. It's embalming fluid, right?
Look at that.
And here's the thing. Why do I want to be preserved when I'm alive?
Exactly.
Right? I want to live while I'm alive, right?
Right.
So they're putting all these toxins in these just daily stuff that we wear and we clean and we even colognes. I mean, you name it, it's all in there, right? And it's all going on that skin and being absorbed into that body.
Yes.
You know? And so that kind of, you know, that kind of says a lot about, you know, our health.
And I also want to say that at the beginning, my stomach was really, really big.
Mm-hmm.
I looked like I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that a lot of you, especially here in Flint, our stomachs were just humongous.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said it before, when I started eating organic and I started watching what I was eating, and then I started flushing,
Mm-hmm.
and now, you know, it's actually disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go to the doctor, you know, it's just coming off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not dieting. That's the funny thing
Mm-hmm.
about it, you know. And somebody probably said, well, you know, you got cancer, but
Mm-hmm.
no, you can actually eat to live.
Right.
And so when you see the
Right.
different books, you know, you just have to take the time to,
Mhm.
if you want to live and if you want to live healthy.
Mhm.
I believe the choice is yours. You know, we have
Absolutely.
not because we ask not. And,
Absolutely.
And you know, he tells us seek and what, and you shall find.
Mhm.
But see, some of you don't want to seek anything. I think we just want to surface God, and
Mhm.
you know, if God's gonna kill me because that just sounds so honorable,
Mhm.
you know, then I'm going to just lay my
Mhm.
life down, you know. But that's not what the word is saying.
No, no.
You know, he says, acknowledge me in all your ways.
In all your
I'm
ways.
acknowledging him in everything.
Mhm.
My health.
Mhm.
I'm acknowledging him in my food.
Mhm.
I'm acknowledging him with the things that I put on my body.
Yes.
You know, my shampoo.
Mhm.
And as you come into the knowledge, and let me tell you, it's an awesome thing, and it's actually a wonderful feeling
Mhm.
when you begin to really, truly take care of the temple of
Mhm.
God.
Mhm.
You know, not just caring about the outside, but
Mhm.
also caring about what you're putting
Mhm.
on the inside.
Mhm.
Because now when I go to sleep, I go to sleep.
Right.
When I wake up, I don't have all that, oh, I got to get up. When I wake up and I can get right up. And like I say, I'm not Superwoman, and yes, I have my battles, with the tiredness and the chemo. But as I was saying, my doctor is telling me, he said, you're doing extremely well because you're putting the right things in your body and you're putting the right things on your body. So again, as I was saying, we must pay attention to these things because it's very important.
Yep, it's interesting because in this health journey, the biblical reference that I stand on is 3 John 1 and 2. Brethren, above all things, my hope is that you'll be in good health.
That's right. Be in good health, as you.
Followed by that you prosper.
That's right. As your soul prosper.
So
that's right.
So think about it. You had a billionaire who died in his 50s because of loss of health. A billionaire, right?
Yes.
Do you think he spent all the money he could to extend his life? Yes, he spent all the money he could to extend his life. But in his life, he never focused on his health.
See?
You see what I'm saying? So you got a lot of people out here now, hey, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. No, first thing you want to be, above all things, that you be in good health.
That's right.
Followed by that you prosper, right?
That's good.
Even as your soul prospers. We were created to be servants, right? We are kings, but even a king is a servant, right? We are queens, but even a queen is a servant.
That's right.
Jesus said, he who would be the greatest among you must become the servant of all. The first place you serve is here. I have to serve my temple. I have to serve my mental. I have to serve my spiritual, right?
That's right.
And all of those are spiritual connections, because it's interesting to me. Your body only represents like 1% of who you really are. And we spend so much time focusing on our body. 99% of who you are is your spirit. See, I can cut my fingers off, I can cut my arms off, I can cut my legs off, and I can yet still live. But as soon as that spirit leaves, no matter how healthy I am,
that's right.
I'm done.
Over. That's right.
And I'm just simply saying that to say, God has a plan and a design that he wants us to follow, right? Step number 1, as a man thinketh, so is he.
So is he.
So let's kind of bring that to a place. God is telling you, you need to be thinking about who you are, right? Oh, and by the way, over here in Philippians 4, 8, and 9, I'm telling you how to frame your thoughts. If there be anything good, think on that, right? We can't keep giving ourselves over to what the media is saying, because when you're thinking in terms of, even when you're thinking in terms of the products that you use every day, are you paying attention to how much money these manufacturers are spending to advertise it and keep it in your face?
That's right.
Even though the information that they're sharing with you is misleading.
That's right.
It's misleading because these chemicals hurt you. It's misleading, right?
That's right.
But if I open up my mind and I start looking and thinking about, is there a simpler, more effective way of cleaning my home that doesn't cost me an arm and a leg? I need to search that out.
That's right.
Is there people out there that's talking about, the body and how you got to treat that body and offering different products that can, actually help? I need to seek them out.
That's right.
Seek and ye shall find.
That's right.
Knock and the door shall be open. But what if you don't seek? What if you don't knock, right? I remember the story in the scripture of that woman who had issues. She had made up her mind.
All right.
If
now,
I touch the hem of his garment, I'm going to be healed.
I'm going to be made
Oh,
whole.
Here's an amazing part. Don't miss this part.
Okay.
We have energy. We are all energy. It was interesting to me that when she touched his garment, not his body, but his garment, Jesus said, "Who touched me?" Because Jesus could feel that energy leaving.
Wow.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
He can feel that energy leaving. The moral of this whole thing is it's going back to that 99% of what we are.
Exactly.
spirit. Jesus was at the maximum point of understanding how the spirit works. So he was able to walk on water because he understood how the molecules worked, right? There was an understanding and an appreciation and a power in that knowledge, which takes us back to trusting God has more to do with an actual belief system than it does with religious activities.
That's good.
You see what I'm saying? God says, the Bible says, nothing is impossible for God. Nothing. Right? So it doesn't matter what dilemma you're in.
No think.
Because this is what God says to you. Nothing is impossible for him who believes. Check your belief. I mean, are you really believing, or are you just going through the motions? Because there's a greater space for you to feel if you start to go from faith to faith, from glory to glory. There's a greater space for you to feel, because the ideal is God created everything with a seed, and he created us with the seed. Everyone here is here because of a seed.
That's right.
Right? What am I supposed to be? Well, whatever I'm supposed to be, if I'm not focusing on my health, I'm not going to get there. If I'm not opening up my mind, I'm never going to get there. You know, so the idea of just opening up your mind to absorb knowledge and take knowledge in and listen to other people, because you're going to find people, and they got a phrase, you know, crab theory. Negative people want you to stay with them.
That's true.
They do, and it's unfortunate because
true.
when you think about it, if my Bible tells me to think on the things that are good, then out of the heart of man does he speak. If I'm thinking on things that are good, guess what my speech is going to reflect?
That's right.
Good things.
That's right.
But if I'm sitting there and all I'm doing is complaining and gossip mongering, what's in my heart?
Exactly.
Right? So anyway, that was a little sidetrack. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I
That was
mean,
a sidetrack.
it's just like us. You know, we are, a people, and we absorb, I believe,
Yes.
people that want to be around us.
Yes.
And I know in my life, once people meet me, they everybody want to be around.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom is like, okay, we got a new friend. Here's somebody else coming.
Yeah.
Somebody else want to be around
Yeah.
because, you know, we cook, we watch movies, we do such a wholesome home life. And I think that a lot of people don't take the time to create a home.
Right,
You know,
right.
not just your food and the things that you put on your body, but just like what he's saying, your environment, everything plays a major role in your health. And like in my home, I try to create a peaceful home, a peaceful
Right.
atmosphere.
Right.
So when people come over, I'm always offering dinner. Would you like to have dinner? And I have it in abundance. I don't put out like a little bit. And then they're like saying, "Oh wow, what is this?" And I'm trying to make sure that they understand. Like, I eat this, and this is vegan. And then my kids eat still with meat, and so I do things for them with meat. I don't, discriminate them.
Right.
And then we have pizzas and things, and I eat my vegan pizzas, and then they're trying to eat up my food. So then we're sitting there and we're arguing
Right.
because, I don't have a lot of mine. So what I'm beginning to do now is I'm going to have to start really just fixing the bigger stuff, because they're like, oh my God,
Right,
that's
right.
good. And so we have vegan ice cream. And so they're like, oh my God, that vegan ice cream is so good. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm actually helping them through, our dinners and things, so that they can see that it's okay.
Right.
But your home, your environment plays a big role. And so when people come around and they're like, oh wow, this is good, we're watching what we're looking at. We're looking at wholesome things. We're watching what we're listening to. We're making sure that the things that we listen to are wholesome and they're uplifting. I'm a firm believer that, what a man soweth, that shall he also reapeth. I believe that in the eyes, anything that you can see, that's a seed. That's you taking a part of. So I watch my eyes, because that's
Right.
something coming into me. So I'm looking and I'm reaping, and I'm sowing what I'm looking at, what I'm hearing. And so I'm very careful with that because I'm old enough now, and I've lived through enough time, and it's a time seasons to know that different musics will have me upset, will have me feeling down. Different conversations I'll listen to, and I say, you know what? I don't think I'm going to talk to that person.
Yeah,
I don't think I want that person in my inner circle because when they leave, I really just feel deflated. I really feel just icky. So there's a lot of ways that we have to protect ourselves.
I mean, that's a very interesting point, because what we're talking about right now is how do I intentionally make decisions that are in my own best interest.
Yes.
Right? Self-development. Because your mind is the whole thing. The way you think, as a man thinketh, so is he.
That's right.
If I think rich, I'm going to be rich.
That's right.
If I think poor, I'm going to be poor.
That's right.
And it's you taking responsibility, right? They got a lot of things on TV. And what we don't understand is that our minds are being programmed all the time.
That's right.
All the time. Your mind is being programmed. So if you don't take responsibility for the information coming in.
Exactly.
Because ultimately, it's really on you to take that responsibility. I always say, for me, spend time in the scripture. There is so many things that God's trying to communicate to us around mindset.
That's right.
Right? You used the example a moment ago of what you see. Well, we are so busy looking at what we see, and it's always such traumatic news. I mean,
yes.
It is traumatic news.
Yes, it is.
You talked about cooking for everybody. That's that spirit of love that attracts people. That's that spirit of love. When you think of that grandmother, she always had that spirit of love, and everybody enjoyed it. You have to make a decision to develop and to increase that spirit of love. And that's going to attract people to you. But you always have the choice. The thing that God gave us, and it's the most marvelous thing, He gave us the power of free will. I want to hit on something because I know it's almost time to wrap up. Genesis 1:1, the Bible says, in the beginning God created. I always ask people or challenge people with this question. Where did God create it? The answer is in His mind.
That's right.
Okay? So you have sight, what you see, and you also have insight, what you see in your mind, right? The power of God is found in that insight. When you look at everybody that's been successful in this life, they used insight, not eyesight. Steve Harvey, great example. Steve Harvey went out, he did this comedic thing, won $50, changed his life, and he slept in his car for 3 years. 3 years, because he believed that gift that he had would bring him before kings and queens. He stood on 3 basic biblical verses. That was it. Just 3 of them, right? But who would want to have Steve Harvey's life today?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If it's not Steve Harvey, okay, let's go over here to Oprah Winfrey. They told Oprah, you too ugly.
That's right.
Right? But who would not want to have Harpo Productions today?
Exactly.
Right? So, and here's your biblical example of insight. Joseph had a dream, and he shared it with his brothers. So what does that tell you? If God gives you a vision, that vision is yours. Now, the Bible also says out of the mouth of 2 or more is a fact established. So take that vision idea and go over here to Mark chapter 4, which is my favorite chapter. Because Jesus said to the apostles, the vision was given to you.
That's right.
And not to them, right? You're going to have imaginations and grandiose things that you can do. Well, guess what? God gave you that vision.
That's right.
Does it mean that you're going to have to, like a seed, break through the ground to make it manifest? The answer is going to be yes. What is your example? It's going to be Joseph. Joseph went to his bigger brothers who he loved and esteemed and told him the vision.
That's right.
How did they respond? They sold him into slavery.
That's right.
They sold him into slavery because they
Yes.
became jealous. They sold him into slavery. So what does that mean? That means that your family and your friends may not support you. That's
right.
okay.
That's right.
You know, like that seed, you're going to have to break through that earth.
That's right.
So that that vision can manifest. But you got to believe that God gave it to you.
That's right.
And then you got to believe that you can do it. And no matter how large it is, let me just be the first or last to tell you. God created the heavens and the earth. You don't think he can put you in a mansion?
That's right.
You know, God created the heavens and the earth. You don't think he can get you a Lamborghini or whatever that thing is you want,
That's
right?
right.
And universes are still being created even as we speak. God said, let us create man in our own image and likeness. And in his own image and likeness made he them. Well, what is he talking about? Your power to utilize your imagination to create the life you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what you find is every day we give away that power. Because I know I grew up in a time when they said, well, you know, get an education, get a good paying job,
Right.
and retire. Well, most people, after going through that entire process, they pass on 5-6 years later.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a winning plan.
That's right.
That is not a winning plan.
That's
because the Bible says your gifts will bring you before kings and queens,
Oh God, yes.
right? Very few jobs is going to bring you before kings and queens. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand. I'm not slamming jobs. Okay, jobs is what pay your bills, blah, blah,
understand.
blah. But the Bible does say, in the day, sow that seed. That means go to your job.
That's right.
But in the evening, do your work. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Hold on. Because everyone thinks that going to that job is their work. No. Your work is that imagination, that vision that God gave you. That's your work. That's what you were placed here for, to manifest.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, by the way, whatever you were placed here to manifest is supposed to benefit other people.
Now there's the key. I want to add this, and please don't lose your train of thought. Joseph was a servant.
Yes, he was.
He was a great servant. He
Yes, he
knew how
was.
to wait on people.
Yep.
I was speaking this to individuals. They were asking me how my life went like it was, because they was like, wow, you just had so many great things to happen to you. And I can associate it with everything that I was blessed with in my life
Mhm.
was because I served
Mm-hmm.
someone else.
Mhm.
When I served a millionaire, wherever they went, I went.
Mhm.
Whatever door they went through, I went through.
Mhm.
And even though I was there serving them, I was still exposed
Mhm.
to everything that they were exposed
Mhm.
to. You know, I was able to eat what they ate. I was able to read what they read.
Mhm.
I was able to hear what they were hearing, their business transactions. And in the process, I was learning.
Right.
And so I believe that all those doors of me serving put me and prepared me for where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are some things that I've seen as far as, so much, greatness
Mhm.
that I asked the Lord. I was like, wow, why did you allow me to be a part
Right.
of this, or even to just listen to this?
Right.
And I poured it into, to my children.
Mhm.
And they're like, why are you telling us these things? Because I know that the day is going to come that you're going to be able to use these
Mhm.
things. But I know that serving opens up doors
Yes.
and takes you into great opportunities. And,
Yes.
and it's just preparation.
Mhm.
And even though you may not know why you're going through this,
Right.
or why you're being prepped,
Mhm.
but I guarantee you that you're going to have something great. Because I remember when we were in the millionaire hangar down in Columbus, Ohio,
Mhm.
going through all our pastors' private jets, and we
Mhm.
were exposed to all this, and me and the kids, and we were all in the jets, and they were saying, these are going to be yours, Pastor Cynthia.
Right.
And I was like, I receive it. I was not
Exactly.
denying it. And they was like, you're being exposed there for a reason.
Mhm.
So give your number again, Bernard Thomas, because we're going to
My
close
number
out here.
is, my personal cell number is 810-449-7540, or reach me on by way of Facebook. I'll be the only Bernard Thomas in there with a suit. I'm more than willing to help whoever I can and share all the information I have.
Okay, don't forget, you've been listening to The Well. Have a blessed day.